it to you. So we're going to do an edited version here. Everyone knows what One Church, One School is, right? If you don't, raise your hand. Tell me if you just are totally clueless. It's okay to be clueless. Okay? I'm going to assume that you are. Not clueless, but I'm going to share with you anyway. So One Church, One School's basic purpose is to partner schools and churches in their community. But I think what has happened is, and Reverend Lawson gave it to us a little bit, that we've been stagnant in how we've been able to implement it, because either I haven't done an effective job of helping you understand, or perhaps when you get to the information, it's been difficult for you to implement yourself. So I'm going to share a couple of things. There's three main aspects, and you're going to give me the 15-minute high sign, right? Okay. There's three main aspects to One Church, One School that they're really concerned with. One is their academic behavior. Academic excellence, social behavior, and building the character of our children. Now, I'm glad that my children are not here, because I was going to have to use them as an example, and I did not want them to get embarrassed. So they're not within earshot, are they? Okay. No, it's serious, and I just didn't want them to be in earshot. So when we're thinking about the community that our churches are located in, nowadays very few of us live in this community, or the community of the church that we attend. So being consistent with the schools in the community, it's better if I hold it, I think. Being consistent with the schools in the community can be a challenge if we're not living in the community as we have in the past growing up. So it's really going to take some concentrated effort to do it effectively. But here's the good news. You only have to focus on three things: academic behavior, academic excellence, social behavior, and building their character, right? That's any way you like it to be. There's no one formula that's going to fit your community. Every community is different, every school is different, and they have different needs. So one of the things I think we get stuck with One Church, One School is how do we do it, is because we think we have to look like every other church, and you don't. So I want to free you from that. Free you from the idea that you have to do the same thing the church down the street or church in Dallas or the church in Houston is doing if they have a thriving one. You're like, well, how do you do it? You cannot duplicate them. Your community looks different. So the first thing is just free yourself from having to think that there's a set formula on how to build a partnership. So there's two different partnerships that I want to introduce you to. One is the community partnership, where the pastor and whomever is the local One Church, One School leader get together and kind of scope the neighborhood. Decide which one of the schools may be the closest to you, which one do you feel as if you could, and you reach out to the principal or the ISD community liaison, and you tell them what you're all about. And if you need material, then you come to me or someone else to provide you with it. And I have also sometimes accompanying pastors to give them some support to add to the conversation. And once you do that, you ask them there, what do you need? Well, that's a loaded question, because they're going to be like, how long do you have? But I think the other fear that we have is that we think we don't have the resources. Not enough money, not enough time. I'm wearing too many hats. I'm doing too much. So I'm going to give you another way to free you up from that. You belong to other auxiliaries. Why not work within them and pull your One Church, One School out of that? You're already doing so many things that we're duplicating, and I've coined a term I call segregated service. That we're all here to serve God, but we're serving God in separate entities, and we're not connecting. And so One Church, One School, the way I would like for us to begin to look at it as you're reevaluating it and as you're trying to redevelop it in your church, is to not necessarily find out, well, who's not doing nothing and who's going to lead this ministry, who's doing this, and we can't ask that person because they're doing that. Because then you're going to get confused and you find no one. And then you're going to tap people, and they're going to be like, well, you know, I got this, and that priority is going to become more than this priority, and it dies on the vine. What I'm suggesting is this. Look within what you already have, and figure out how you can collaborate and work together to develop the One Church, One Schools. Or do you have a scholarship fund already in existence? Do you have ways in which the missionaries are sending supplies already? Can you not build within that? That way you don't have to redevelop the wheel. The other thing to tell you is that you have children in your church. I mean, you know, I'm all about the community, but then let's not forget the ones in the church. And we are the community, and our children in the church need us. Now I'm going to get it personal. I have two, Isaiah, Jeremiah. Many of you know them. You've watched them grow up, and you know how awesome they are. They're awesome rascals, and they're awesome angels. But they have special needs, and it was very interesting what Reverend Lawson said, how the anointing is sometimes not visible. Sometimes those special needs are not visible either. Sometimes you can't tell that Jeremiah can't read at age 9. And that now he's fallen on the intellectual disability and on the spectrum. And you can't really tell all of a sudden that Isaiah has ADHD. And you might consider him to be just a little bad because he's running around and can't sit still. And he too falls on the spectrum. And that he has a language disorder. So he doesn't understand cues very well. He doesn't understand social cues. So sometimes he'll say, but mommy, I did it on purpose. But I really did. You know, or he might not understand the cue of your correction, and he may consider it to be a put down and act out or say something that you might find to be rude. And unless you know this about him, you would be correct because he would be disrespecting an adult. So sometimes the disabilities that our children have are not visible. Speaking to these educators who are not in their head, they know. And all the other educators and parents in the room. So I want to say that we have to broaden the scope and not become narrow. Not become narrow in terms of I don't have the money. I don't have the time. We don't have the resources. You need to go up and ask. So I will send you this PowerPoint because I did include a couple of things that I'd like to share with you. The kids where I live, you know, they get bored very easily because we force them to go out and play. Go figure. Right. And we don't give them much to go play with. You got a ball? Bye. Okay? Amen. The other day they had a rope and they were trying to climb the tree. I said, oh, good. And they fall down, hurt themselves. I said, get right back up, go right back out. They need to understand how to, playground rules is what I call it. Right. The person who has the ball makes the rules, okay? Right? Playground rules. They need to know how to play freely and how to imagine and play and not be controlled and not have structured play like they do in school all the time. So we have to be inventive on how we do things. So it would be intimidating to do children's activities in a sanctuary. Or youth activities in sanctuary, or let's get real, adult activities in sanctuary. It's intimidating because you can't be free. Right. We need to understand the environment that we're in. You know, there's a field outside. Take them outside. Take them, let them draw hopscotch and get the chalk on the thing and let them play. And in their play, you can teach at the same time. Amen. You can teach at the same time, right? You can teach them. So Jeremiah comes running up to me the other day. He just called me a big head, and the little boy came up right next to him. He said, "But I said I'm sorry," and so I had to deal with both of them. Jeremiah felt insulted. I had to at least identify the fact that he was feeling some kind of way. But the other little boy was like, "But I apologize." And then I said, y'all got to go on play because I don't want to hear no more. What I'm saying is, think beyond. And so when you do, pastors or community leaders, go to the schools and you ask them, and here's the other thing. How many here are educators in right here? Raise your hand, retired or otherwise. Okay, yes, educators, active educators, retired or otherwise. So ask them, what do you need? Ask them, how can we figure out that some of these kids don't have enough lunch money? See, it's not always about backpacks and school supplies and papers. They need that. But maybe you just need to take a special offering up, and then you drop it off at the school and say, this is for the coffers, when that little boy has to pull up his lunch and the lady says, you ain't got enough.
Right, that's good.
See, this is what I'm saying, because these are real-time experiences. All right? And so when we think one church, one school, sometimes it's just your presence. And so I want us to consider some of the kids in your church. And so there's 3 programs that I'm trying to implement, and I know I've been working on them for the past 4 years. I've been doing it for the past 4 years, and for the past 4 years, I'm doing my best Southern accent from a New Yorker. Hey, working. But anyway, I've been working on it, and it doesn't seem to get a lift. I think it's not getting a lift because we're stuck in how we're perceiving it to be done. So here's one of the programs. It's called READ. Reading Enriches and Develops. My passion. My mother told me, if you can't read, you can't do nothing. Amen. Think about it. What can you do without reading?
Nothing.
I don't care if you're on the internet, right? Nothing, right? And so our children in general, either they're on the scale or they're off the scale. So the reading program, what I'm trying to ask is that take it and run with it. Call for ideas. One of the ways that I'm doing it with Isaiah is I told him I'll give him 10 cents a page, okay? And he wants a new drum set. I said, you go buy that drum set. 10 cents a page for every book you read. I said, but, that's not gonna get you too much. You might need to get some other people to sponsor you. And so he figures he's just gonna say, excuse me, can you? I said, no. You're gonna have to learn some other skills. Let's learn how to write a letter. Let's learn how to ask for that sponsor. And let's learn to maybe choose somebody that you really find that you admire. And so now I've got reading. I'm gonna give him some money, right? And he's gonna learn another skill. But you don't have to do it that way. Write this down. There is a organization called Cool Bros Read. Cool Bros Read. This young boy at age 10 decided he was going to start a book club for all African American boys. It's on the internet. They got t-shirts saying Cool Bro Read, and he said the head bro in charge. And they read books, yeah, right? They read books, but they have time that they come together. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can join. We can partner. You can do a one church, one school, and partner with Cool Bros Read, and get all the boys in your church to get the t-shirt, and then you develop them to read. So the reading program can be anything you design, okay? So Isaiah now is up to $179 because he asked my mother to sponsor him. He's written a letter to one of my friends and one of his teachers. And yes, he's got to write that letter correctly. And no, he cannot type it. Because it has to have a signature.
Right.
Okay? So he's up to that. But here's the deal. Not only is he going to buy the drum set, but he's going to have to tithe. Whoa.
All right.
But then those little kids came up to me, those same little kids came up the other day. Little girl was making slime. You know how they make the slime now? We're going to sell our slime and give it to the children's hospital. I said, for real? We're going to sell it $10 a bag. I said, well, y'all, let's get some business in here. So another teaching moment. I said, you can sell 2 bags for 10. I said, but if you don't put Children's Hospital on there, nobody going to buy those bags of slime. They don't know where it's going to. But they got $20. All right, and they're going to want to do it again over spring break. I said, have at it. But now they're going to have to go and they're going to have to write to Children's Hospital, to the chaplain, and find out how they can donate this. All right, so that's the next program. It's called VIP. And this is a mentoring program, and this is huge. And so it's not one that I am willing to just rush into. It's one that we really have to develop. I have a problem with how we come up with a ministry and we just go and then it dies and it doesn't sustain. I'd like to have some people who are really going to be committed to take a child, no matter what age they are, and follow them through their academic career. I've been saying this for 4 years. A team, not just one person, because that's a lot for one, but a team. That you find a child who, for whatever reason, not because they have a problem, it could be any child, but a team. That you say, you know what, I'd like to be a part of this child's team. So if they're in the 3rd grade, I don't care if you move to Alaska, you're still gonna be with them because you can do it by internet, FaceTime or whatever, you can still check on them, but be a part of them. Now, why do I know this is gonna work? I went to church with my friend. The church is called One Community, and it's in Plano. And that pastor got up, and he announced the mentoring program that they're gonna do at their church, that they're gonna follow these kids. I was like, what? I've been doing this for 4 years, and nobody's been kicking this off. It's gonna take time. It's not a quick hit, I promise you. But it's gonna take someone who's strategy. So, Jeremiah and Isaiah, we have one person already on their team, and sometimes I go find somebody, you're gonna be on your team. But this is a part of One Church, One School that's called the P principle. That means pastor, parishioner, principal, pupil, public figure,